The church reformer Martin Luther said there are two ways of being a theologian of glory or a theologian of the cross. The two are mortal enemies. The theologian of glory believes he can see through the cross to some hidden meaning, some invisible road that leads to glory. If he'd only work harder or do more good works, he'd surely find that road to glory and traverse it. The theologian of glory tries to fit Christ into his own scheme. The cross, if it is acknowledged at all, is just a speed bump on the road to glory. In this view, suffering is evil, and if he plays the game right, he can successfully do an end run around it. It is the Apostle Peter pledging to follow Jesus to the end, yet denying him 3 times. The theologian of the cross, she knows that this is vanity. For the cross is not an obstacle on the road, but the end of the road. The cross alone is our theology, Luther could write. The cross insists on being its own story. It does not allow us to stand by and watch. In this story, we all cry out, "Crucify him, crucify him." And if you think you wouldn't have if you were there, the theologian of the cross tells you that you're sorely mistaken. We think, like the addicts that we are, that if we just had a little taste of fill in the blank, then we'd be satisfied. Alcohol, food, sex, power, screens, look, reputation. But that's not how reality works, is it? For when we get that little taste, we want just a little bit more. Luther wrote, "The thirst for glory is not ended by satisfying it, but rather by extinguishing it." The cross extinguishes it. Yet the theology of the cross is more offensive than that. Luther. The offense consists in the fact that, unlike other theologies, it attacks what we usually consider the best in our religion. Jesus' most damning language by far is directed against religious people. God knows that our religious aspirations and spiritual pride are themselves the problem. So God's revelation must come to us under the form of opposites. Luther scholar Gerhard Ford writes, "God does his alien and wrathful work before he does his proper and loving work. He makes alive by killing, brings to heaven by going through hell, brings forth mercy out of wrath." Some years ago, an Episcopal priest from Columbus, Ohio, walked into his church office on a Monday morning and wrote a hasty letter of resignation. Then he went back to his house, sat down at the kitchen table, and wrote a letter to his wife and 3 children, all under the age of 10, that he was abandoning them. He fled to a logging camp in Vermont and took a job as a logger. One Saturday afternoon in January, it was negative 25 degrees Celsius, heavy snow, and the priest was sitting in his portable aluminum trailer that he'd rented. The only source of heat was a tiny portable aluminum heater, and the heater suddenly quit and died. Within minutes, the temperature in the trailer plunged. Shivering and in a fit of rage, the priest picked up the heater, flung it toward the window, broke the window, and shouted, "Christ, I hate you. Damn you, God. Get out of my life. I'm finished with this Christian crap. It's all over." He sank to his knees, defeated and weeping. And in the bright darkness of faith, he heard a voice from within say, "It's okay, Kevin, I understand. I'm here. I am with you and I am for you." Then he heard Jesus weeping within him. It was an overwhelming feeling of intimacy. That same afternoon, Kevin Martin packed up his bag, returned to Columbus, Ohio, to be reconciled to his family and his church. Kevin came to speak at my seminary, and this is what he taught us. When you have nothing left to say, that is the beginning of preaching. Stop posturing and pretending, because it's not about you or me. It is called Good Friday not because you are good, but because God is. Jesus' last words were, "It is finished." The theologian of the cross knows that the power to do good comes only out of this wild claim that everything has already been done. Amen.